Okay, Javier, let's get started. Without any further ado, I guess there's no one else joining the session today. So again, let's get to know what networking is. Okay, so when you talk about networking, there are these three important definitions to go through it. What is firstly networking itself, then what are networks and what are hosts. So when you talk about networking, it is the practice of connecting information devices with each other. Now, these information devices could be anything. They could be as small as a mobile phone to as big as a web application server or a database. And the practice of connecting these devices with each other to share information or resources is the concept of network. And when you talk about a network, it's a group of these devices that I've mentioned. So a network is a collection of these interconnected systems or devices that can communicate and transmit data to each other. And each of those devices in that network is called as a host. Okay. Examples as mentioned, your computers, printers, routers, mobile phones, okay, your AirPods, whatever it be, all of these fall under the category of hosts. Now, just like when we humans communicate with each other, we address each other with our names respectively. Similarly, these devices also have names, and those names are called as IP addresses, Internet Protocol addresses. Now, these IP addresses were created or again invented by the US military initially to have communications possible between their different organizations in the military. But again, later on, it was widespread and released to the world where they started using it for networking, okay, for transmitting data from one device to the other device over the whole World Wide Web. Okay, now when you talk about IP, as mentioned, it stands for Internet Protocol Address. When they were invented, there were various versions of them, IP version 1, IP version 2, and IP version 3. What successfully worked out is IP version 4, and they're still using IPv4 addresses even in today's world. Now, to define what an IP address is, as mentioned, each host on a network has a unique identifier, and that name or identifier given to that device is called as an IP address. This IP address allows for communication to occur between the various hosts. Now, this IPv4 address that I'm talking about has a few properties to it. Firstly, it's a 32-bit address. What I mean by 32-bit address is that it consists of 32 zeros and ones consecutively. A bit is the smallest data structure that is available on information systems, and computers usually talk in this language of zeros and ones. And it is also commonly known as the binary language. So when you talk about an IP address, it has 32 bits, 32 zeros and ones, which are equally divided in 4 parts, where that each part consists of 8 bits each. Okay, and that 8-bit portion is called as an octet. Okay, so as mentioned over here, this is what a typical IPv4 address would look like: 32 zeros and ones all together, and they are divided with 4 equal parts of 8 bits each. And each octet here is separated by a dot symbol again. Okay, so this is your typical IPv4 address in the binary language. But we humans don't understand binary language so well. What we regularly use are decimal numbers or numbers from 0 to 9. So now I'm going to show you how do you convert any binary number to a human readable decimal number. So this number here, 11000000, okay, is actually equivalent to 192 in human readable language. Okay. 10101000 is actually equal to 168. So I'm going to show you how we convert any binary number to a human readable decimal number. Now, if you have a question, why do we need that? This again gives you the understanding of what is the range of IP addresses. What is the first IP? What is the last IP? Okay, we can calculate that from this binary to decimal conversion. Okay, is that clear, Javier? Any questions or doubts up to this point? I hope everything is okay with the connection. No issues with the audio or the video during the meeting.
Yes, everything is fine. Yeah.
Perfect. So coming back to the conversion part, as mentioned, there's again to convert any binary number to a human readable decimal number. There are 2 simple rules or 2 steps to it. Step number 1 is, again, once you have the binary number here, in our scenario, in our example, we have this number 10101010. So if I have to convert this number to a human readable decimal number, step number 1 would involve me assigning the values of 2 power 0 all the way up to 2 power 7 from right to left. So you assign powers of 2 to each bit from right to left, starting at 2 power 0, going up to 2 power 7. Okay, so as you can notice over here, there's 2 power 0 on the rightmost bit, and there's 2 power 7 on the leftmost bit. Okay. Now, once you have written down all those values, you multiply the lower bit value, or the lower power value with the top bit, and keep on adding it to the next one. So 2 power 0 into 0, plus 2 power 1 into 1 plus 2 power 2 into 0 plus 2 power 3 into 1 plus 2 power 4 into 0 plus 2 power 5 into 1 plus 2 power 6 into 0 plus 2 power 7 into 1 finally. Okay, now to calculate those values, we need the answers for these 2 power values. So 2 power 0 is equal to 1. Anything to the power 0 is always equal to 1. It's a mathematical rule. 2 power 1 is 2. 2 power 2 is 2 into 2, that's 4. 2 power 3 is 2 into 2 into 2, 3 times, that's 8. 2 power 4 is 16. 2 power 5 is 32. 2 power 6 is 64. And 2 power 7 is 128. Now, since we have the values for the lower numbers, multiplying, adding is a bit simpler now. So 2 power 0 into 0, anything into 0 is 0 itself. 2 power 1 into 1, 2 power 1 is 2. So into 1, that's 2 again. 2 power 2 into 0, 0. 2 power 3 into 1, 8. 2 power 4 into 0, 0. 2 power 5 into 1, 32. 2 power 6 into 0, 0 again. And 2 power 7 into 1, 128. If you add all this up, 128 plus 32 plus 8 plus 2, that would give you the number 170. So when we humans read the number 170 as 170, the computer understands it as 10101010, something like high frequency data and low frequency data. Okay, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low. So when those signals go in that exact sequence, the computer understands that this number is equivalent to the value 170, 170 in human readable language. Is that clear? Javier, any questions?
Yes, it's clear.
Right. If this is clear, I have 2 numbers here actually for exercise. Can you give me the answers for these numbers? I have a number 01010101 and then all ones. So if you have understood this logic, if you have a pen and a paper beside you, can you try calculating the answer for these and giving me the answers? So the first number is 01010101 and the second number is all ones. I've written down the values as from 2 power 0 up to 2 power 7. You can take your time, calculate the answers and let me know what the final decimal value is.
$85.
Oh, so sorry, Javier, I was on mute. I didn't check that. Yeah, correct. Perfectly right answer, Javier. The first one is 85. What about the second one? Perfectly right answer with the first one. When it's all ones, you just add up all the values. So 128 plus 64 plus 32 plus 16 plus 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1. And that would give me the value of, what would the final answer be?
$255.
Perfect answer, 255. Okay, so again, perfectly all right, Javier. So again, you have got the concepts right. So now again, as mentioned, the reason I'm making you do all these exercises is just because just so that we understand what the first IP in the range is and what the last IP before address is. Okay, so if I had to get the first IP address, I simply just put all zeros everywhere. That's the minimum possibility. So when I put all zeros, you would get the decimal value as 0.0.0.7. That's simply the first IP. And if I had to get the last IP, the maximum value you would get is by putting all ones in the octets. So when I put all ones, You just calculated and gave me the answer. It's equivalent to 255. So the last IPv for address in the whole range is 255.255.255.255. So no matter what range, whatever IP you take in IPv4 range, it will always be from the number 0 to 255, and it cannot exceed 255, because logically speaking, when you put all 8 octets as ones, the maximum number you can get is 255 itself, not more than that. Okay. So this is the reasoning for why IPs only range from the number 0 to 255 and not more than that. Okay. Now, here's the first IP, here's the last IP. If someone had to calculate the total number of IP addresses, we can apply a very simple permutation formula. Since you have 32 bits and in each bit you have 2 possibilities, so the total number of IP addresses you would have is 2 to the power 32. 2 into 2 into 2 into 2, like that, up to 32 bits. And that would give you a number, 4.3 billion IP addresses. Okay. So when these IP addresses were invented in the year 1950s or 1960s, not exactly sure when, 4.3 billion IPs back then were more than sufficient. But fast forward to 2024 today, the population has crossed 8 billion mark, right? So again, each person might have multiple devices again. You could have a phone, you could have a smartwatch, a smart TV, a laptop. So each person on a rough average at least has 2 devices. So for 8 billion people, you would still need at least 16 billion IPs. Okay, at least those many devices are actually available in the world. Okay, but all we have is 4.3 billion IP addresses here. So how is this being sufficient? So again, there's something called as a division or classification of IPs again. There's something called as class A, B, C, D, and E. Then there's public and private IPs. We'll talk about all that in the next session and tomorrow's class. But before that, let's try to understand the sequence of IP addresses. Now we know the first IP is 0000, and the last IP is 255, 255, 255, 255. But what about the IPs in between? What is the sequence? How do you know what IP comes after what? So let's talk about that now. Okay, so to understand the sequence of IPs, there's 2 simple rules again. Rule number 1, you always start with the rightmost octet. Okay, so what I mean by that is if the first IP is 0000, the next IP would be simply 0001. Rightmost octet increases by 1. After that, you have 0002, then 03, then 04, then 05, then 06, then 07, 08, 09, 010, 011, goes all the way up to the value 0255. Now, after 0255, you would not have 0256. That is invalid. So once it reaches the maximum value here, then you move on to the left octet. So that's rule number 2. Once the rightmost octet has reached the maximum value, then you move to the left octet, and the rightmost octet cycles back to 0 again. So this 255 becomes 0 again, and this 0 changes to 1. So after 10, don't directly jump to 20 again. Remember, rightmost octet should increase. So after 10, you have 11 again, then 12, then 13, then 14, 15, 16, 17, goes up to 1255. Then you have 20, 255 cycles back to 0, and the 1 changes to 2. So if you notice, the cycle is repeating here: 00 to 0255, 10 to 1255, 20 to 2255, 30 to 3255, 40 to 4255, 50 to 5255. Like that, the cycle keeps repeating again and again and again and again. And somewhere down the line, you would have 2540, 2541, 2542, up to 254, 255, then 2550, 2551, 2552, up to 255, 255. Now both these octets are filled. What happens next? The 0 now changes to 1. So whatever cycle repeated here from 000 to 0255, 255, same cycle repeats again from 100 to 1255, 255. Again from 200 to 2255, 255, 300 to 3255, 255, 400 to 4255, 255. And finally, somewhere you would have 25500 to 255, 255, 255. Same logic, whatever cycle repeated here from 0000 up to 0255, 255, 255. Same cycle repeats from 1000 up to 1255, 255, 255. Then 2000 to 2255, 255, 255. 3000 to 3255, 255, 255. 4000 to 4255, 255, 255. And somewhere down the line, 255000, 255, 255, 255, 255. Here's the first IP, and here's the last IP. and this comprises of all the 4.3 billion IP addresses. Obviously, I've skipped a lot of billion IPs in between, but this is how the sequence follows. Okay, is that clear, Javier? Any questions?
No,
Hello.
no, I'm good actually.
Oh, okay, perfect. Again, as mentioned, these 4.3 billion IPs are definitely not sufficient in today's world. So that is why we have something called classifications. So your whole 4.3 billion IPs are divided in 5 separate classes: class A, B, C, D, and E. And again, in each class, we have a set of public IPs and private IPs. So class A has public and private IPs, class B has public and private IPs, class C also has public and private IPs. Class D and class E don't have any private IPs. They only have public IPs. Okay. So we'll talk about the classification a bit more in depth about this in the next class. We'll learn what public IPs are, we'll learn what private IPs are, we'll learn about the classes as well. Okay. So again, a brief diagram representation to denote where public IPs are used and where private IPs are used. We'll talk about this in the next class anyhow. Again, after that, we'll talk about classes and their ranges. So each class has a certain range of IPs. So class A starts at the first IP 0000, and class E ends at the last IP 255, 255, 255, 255. So we'll talk about the ranges and how we got those ranges. Okay, and we'll talk about the relevance of each class. Okay, why do we have 5 separate classes and what's the importance of each class? We'll talk about all this in the upcoming sessions. Then after this, we'll also discuss about a few important protocols in networking. Again, what is subnet mask? What is again, how do you assign a private IP? How do you assign it manually, and how do you get it automatically from a DHCP server? What's DHCP protocol? What is DNS protocol? We'll talk about all these in the upcoming sessions. Okay. So again, this is all about networking. We haven't covered a lot of concepts yet. These are demo sessions. So throughout this week, we'll be completing networking. And after that, from the next week, we'll have our practical sessions on cybersecurity, understanding how to generate a lab and how to perform the upcoming, as mentioned, the other topics in cybersecurity. Just in case if you want to learn about what concepts we'll be covering throughout the course, you can go to YouTube and just search for DURGASOFT on YouTube again. And when you do that, you can go back to the video from 2 days ago. So if you scroll down, yeah, then I guess, yeah, this is the one. So I'll share this link in the chat box. This is the video which I took on Sunday, and this covers a brief introduction on the course contents. So what topics we'll be learning throughout the course, what cybersecurity is, what hacking is, what ethical hacking is, okay, and the modules we'll be covering throughout the sessions. Okay. So I would recommend you go through this video once, and again, you would get a brief idea on the whole course. Okay. And if you have any questions as well after that, you can ask me in the next session in tomorrow's class. Okay. So nothing further. Yeah.
How much have been done till now?
How much what? Sorry, your voice is getting cut away.
How many classes have been done till now?
Again, as mentioned, we took a workshop on Sunday. This was the workshop's video. And then we took one class yesterday, actually. But again, I have repeated the same concept which I took yesterday in today's class. There's nothing new. So frankly speaking, other than this workshop video, you have not missed out anything. So you just have to go through this one recording.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, I'm good. Actually.
Perfect, Javier. So that's that. Nothing further. Small brief introduction on networking. Again, as mentioned, a demo class. Tomorrow we'll be going with the other concepts in networking. Please do join the session without fail. And yeah, that's that. Bye bye. I'll see you tomorrow. Good day.
Yeah. Yeah. Bye bye.